Shalom, giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rahahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations as always to the elect. And we're going in the news, get a few prophecies, a few videos, and hopefully you be edified as the scripture talks about. All right, that at the end of Esau's world, all right, at the latter end of his rulership, when he saw that he had but a short time, he would come down with great wrath upon the people, upon the earth, upon the sea, and everything else. And as we can see, everything is suffering, all right, from the fish in the water, the people on earth, the cattle, nature itself is being attacked, okay? And they're creating a chaotic, wicked environment, okay, to bring order. And one of the things we saw, you know, from 2021 through 2022 until now, is the destruction of farming, the destruction of cattle, all right, multiple meat factories, all right, and food producing plants, okay, being cut off, okay, burned down with no explanation. Nobody really made a big deal about it in the mainstream media because the mainstream media is controlled by the people that are doing all of these evil things. So your only way to get a reaction to the evils that are happening is to either go to the prophets who are watching and speaking on these things, or alternative media, which the powers that be are losing credibility. A lot of people are waking up to what they're doing. Okay, and as we've been going into, all of the resources of the earth are being cut off. The middleman is being cut off. And what they want is, when it's all said and done, your only option, all right, to eat, okay, to buy or to sell will be through one system, and where they will have hoarded all of the earth resources unto themselves. Okay, Bill Gates has been buying up farmland along with many other elites, you see, and stuff like this is getting ready to become the norm. As I have this article here, U.S. gets the okay for cattle shooting operation in New Mexico. All right, now if you was just to tell somebody this, they would think that you were crazy. Well, this is a reality. The United States gets okay for cattle shooting operation in New Mexico. Okay. So again, we know with this fourth industrial revolution, with this whole, carbon, issue and, green agenda to save the earth, nature is being targeted. Okay. So it says a U.S. district judge on Wednesday cleared the way for federal officials to move ahead with plan to take to the air and shoot dozens of wild cattle in a rugged area in southwestern New Mexico. Okay, so they're going to fly drone planes over these cattle, or fly planes over these cattle, and just shoot down and kill them. All right, which you mean to tell me there's no other options of what to do with these cattle? Okay, there isn't a situation where they can, have them slaughtered and the meat given to poor people or sold. No, they're going to shoot down all of these cattle. Okay. And this, talking point will become the norm in many places, as we saw over the last 5 years farming. Okay. Really over the last 15 years. Okay. Till now. All right, pretty much systematically, farming has been cut off. Farmers have been told that they need to shut down their farms. They've been bought out. Many of them worldwide are committing suicide, as this Roundup Ready, Monsanto produced soil has been forced, okay, upon them. Okay, and the way these devils work is these Monsanto villains, which they operate like hitmen, okay, they'll take Monsanto seeds, okay, and sneak and mingle it into a farmer's soil, and then they'll roll on that farmer and say, "We found that you've had particular of our seeds in your, you know, in your land, okay? So we need to check this and check that." And really, by law, they're able to hijack that land, shut down that farm, okay, or force, Roundup ready soil on that farm, which Roundup ready soil is not natural. Okay, it's not meant to continue producing. You'll have to eventually go back to them to get more. Okay, so now they're controlling the operation of farming, cutting out the middleman. Okay, and it's all kind of toxins in this soil. So the food's polluted. Okay, the plants are polluted. Okay, everything is in a polluted state. Okay, and the scriptures talks about those who destroy the earth. And Monsanto is just one way. But getting back to this article, okay, um, ranchers had sought a delay, arguing that the potential mass slaughter of as many as 150 unauthorized cows on public land. All right, now cows are a part of the earth. But here it is. This devil has, laws on the books to where he can deem something that's naturally on the earth unauthorized. You see that? 150 unauthorized cows are just going to be slaughtered. It said as many as 150 unauthorized cows on public land was a violation of federal regulations and mounted and amounted to animal cruelty. Okay, so they couldn't set up a better situation. Okay, to as to what to do with these cows. It says after listening to arguments that stretched throughout the day, Judge James Browning denied the request, saying the ranchers failed to make their case. Okay, because basically they're saying the ranchers got all of these cattle and it's a violation to the public because over with this whole new agenda, we hear, at the World Economic Forum, cows are emitting too much nitrogen into the air. They're burping and farting too much, and that's heating up the earth. So this is why we're starting to now see the talks of, you know, um, artificial meats and foods making their way to the food shelves, which they've been there. Okay, but they're putting it in the news just now. All right, the mass majority of the food we've eaten or been eating, okay, it's genetically altered, it's messed up, and it's defiled. Okay, so with these agendas that they're pushing, fake foods are going to be the norm. They're already talking about bugs and different worms and things that can replace cattle because cattle are ruining the earth. And when the Lord made all of these things that he created to be on earth, he said it was good. All right, through the Elohim, the angel says, he also said the U.S. Forest Service is charged with managing the wilderness for the benefit of the public. So it all ties to this whole agenda, that the World Economic Forum is dealing with. And what we just found out, is that the fourth industrial revolution is pretty much the same as the Third Reich with your boy Hitler. It says, he also said the U.S. Forest Service is charged with managing the wilderness for the public, for the benefit of the public, and for the operation, all right, and the operation will further that aim, basically to help everybody. No one disputes that the Gila cattle need to be removed and are doing significant damage to the Gila wilderness, Browning wrote. The court does not see a legal prohibition on the operation. It would be contrary to the public interest to stoop to stop the operation from proceeding. Plans by the Forest Service call for the shooting of cattle with a high-powered rifle from a helicopter and leaving the carcasses in the Gila wilderness. It says, what's this? What is this? Yeah, kill ordered for New Mexico federal cows. All right. So there you go. Pretty much the same thing we were looking at. It says, it was estimated by attorneys that for the ranchers that 65 ton of dead animals will be left in the forest for months until they decompose or are eaten by scavengers. These people are crazy, man. And this goes into ultimately a prophecy here. Let's get the book of Joel, the first chapter, and we'll start at the 15th verse. It says, "Alas, for the day of Yahweh is at hand, and as a destruction from the Almighty shall it come. It is not the meat cut off before our eyes, yea, joy and gladness from the house of our God." And if you're not mourning at the condition of the earth, then you're not in the right spirit. Now, of course, you don't get consumed. And of course, we have pockets of, time where we smile, laugh, eat, drink, chill, okay, your pastime or whatever. But if you're not looking at the condition of the earth and the things that these devils are doing, and it is not vexing you, then you're not right. Okay? How could you be in a happy-go-lucky state, in a pushing mirth, when this earth is being ran by absolute retarded villains? Let's read this in the NLT. Our food disappears before our very eyes. We're watching it. Okay? We're watching farming become a thing of naught. Okay? So all we have to do is go here and just type in farming being shut down. Just type that in and see what comes up. American farmers are in a crisis. Here's why. And all of these different things, these train derailments, these chemicals being spread into the air, that's all going to take an effect upon the farmers as well. Okay? I don't know how we'll survive. The farmers facing ruin in Americas. Dairy farmers are forced to dump milk as demand drops. Okay? So, I mean, you can look at this agenda, okay, and it's prophetic as well, okay? This all goes back to biblical prophecy. How a giant egg farm made money off women, prisoners in dangerous conditions. What is that? Let's see here. And I mean, I'm pretty sure if we Google it, this is DuckDuckGo. It'll be more information. DuckDuckGo has been watered down, but you get the point. All right, we know in the book of Second Esdras, the 15th chapter. Okay, Second Esdras, the 15th chapter. We have the prophecy that says this. Second Esdras 15 and 13. It says, "They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting hail." All right, and the things that are happening, the weather patterns, these train derailments, these chemicals being, purposely put into the air. Okay, and all of this is happening because the so-called white man is coming down with great wrath. Okay, the scripture said, "Rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them, and woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil has come down unto you having great wrath." And this is a part of his great wrath. All right, verse 14 says, "Woe to the world and to them that dwell therein." See that? So nothing but woes and plagues are on the horizon, man. Going back here to the book of Joel, the first chapter. All right, it says, Is not our meat cut off before our eyes? Yea, joy and gladness from the house of our God. The seed is rotten under their clods. The garners, okay, the garners are laid desolate. The barns are broken down, for the corn is withered. Now let's read this in the NLT. All right, because corn has been absolutely destroyed. But let's read what this says. It says the seeds die in the parched ground, and the grain crops fail. Now, when you deal with the grain crops, going to what happened in East Palestine, Ohio. Okay, Ohio is when you look at that state, it's big with the production of wheat. It's one of those what they call the bread basket, you know. But look what happened in Ohio. Ohio train derailment leaves estimated 43,700 animals dead. Last week, officials said they believed that the Ohio train derailment had killed 3,500 aquatic animals. On Thursday, they provided a new estimate, pushing the total to more than 43,700 animals within the 5-mile area. Okay, and you'll think, oh, that's just a small part of the earth. Well, this affects the people around them. Now, when you deal with these various different train derailments and these chemicals being, pushed off into the air, you have to understand the uh, the uh, the areas that are being attacked. They're known as what is called a bread basket. Okay, it says the bread basket of a country. All right, which this country is America, right? Babylon the Great, and we're seeing systematic, chemicals being put into the air in very, very key places. Okay, which we know the Ohio River eventually runs into the Mississippi River. And these things are going to affect the average everyday people more than they know, all right, as time keeps going, as these disasters keep happening. The Mississippi River is already dried up, okay, and the Mississippi River is responsible for about 80+% of exports going worldwide, okay? It's a very important river to Babylon the Great, okay? And rivers used to be, all right, a source of drinking water, but they're all polluted, okay? Lakes, creeks, all of that stuff is polluted, man. So people don't have natural sources of water. Food is being cut off. So when it's all said and done, what are people going to have to do? Well, Revelation, the 6th chapter, shows you and gives you the overview of a system they set up to where it says measure of wheat for a penny. And we'll get that in just a minute. But it says the bread basket of a country or a region is an area which causes the richness of the soil and the advantageous climate produces large quantities of wheat and other grain. Okay? It says Rice Bowl is a similar term used to refer to Southeast Asia. California's Salinas Valley is sometimes referred to as America's Salad Bowl. Such regions may be subject to fierce political disputes, which may even escalate into full military conflicts. These devils just got to go, man. Bread baskets have become important within the food and global system by concentrating global food production in small number of countries and in countries such as India, which they've destroyed India. But India is known as a land of agriculture, man. But the British went there and set up shop. Okay, now India is looking to get missiles and go to war. It says, it's like the scriptures say, they put down the plowshares and the farming tools, and now they're looking for missiles, man, because this devil has ruined the whole entire planet Earth, man, to where something as important as farming is being undermined and shut down. Okay, it says, as climate change increases weather variability around the world, the likelihood of multiple bread baskets failing at a time increases dramatically. The 2022 food crisis has been in part facilitated by a series of failures in key breadbasket regions. And the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine, see that blaming that on, you see the propaganda there, has created significant potential disruption in the prospective breadbasket regions that are important to global wheat and oil and seed production. So there's key things happening. These areas like Ohio is one of them. You can get into the 2022 breadbasket or the 2022 food crisis, which the 2022 food crisis is only going to get worse. And we've seen the food crisis happen. Okay, it said the crisis followed food security and economic crisis during the C-19 pandemic. But what did we see synonymous with all of this? Just different factories where food is produced just being burned down. Okay, all you have to do is type in how many food factories. Give me 1 second here. Here we go. Here, this is a site I found. 25 mysterious fires at food processing plants around the U.S. End of days food shortage. Okay, and then when you go and look these things up, it's always a fact check. No, food processing centers ain't being burned down on purpose. Okay, Biden is planning to disseminate food shortages. As more food processing plants burn down, the prophecy of the pre-messianic food shortages looms imminent. Though labeled a conspiracy theory, the facts remain undeniable. Prices are rising as food supply chains problems persist and food becomes dear. So what I'll do, give me 1 second. Open this in DuckDuckGo because I want to finish the point real quick about these breadbasket states. We'll go back to that in just a minute. But these breadbasket states, okay, which let's get another little article here. Okay, these different, where you're going to start seeing, all right, a lot of more of these toxic spills and different things like that in certain key parts of the earth. This is systematic what they're doing. And as you can see, Ohio, okay, is one of those breadbasket states, okay, which they're big on grains, okay, and the production of various different things that, eventually make it to the stores that, you go to buy food. All right, these various different breadbasket states throughout the world or throughout America, we'll just keep it in America, okay, as it says here, 12 states that make up the breadbasket of the U.S. The Midwest, 12 states that make up the breadbasket of the U.S. North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, which I just saw something happening in Nebraska with toxicity. Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Des Moines, Minnesota, St. Paul, Wisconsin, Madison, Michigan, Lansing, Illinois, Springfield, Indiana, Indianapolis, and so forth. Okay. Let's see here. Something I wanted to read out of here. So here's an example right here. 16, you see railroads, especially in Chicago, brought trade into the Midwest and Midwest products throughout the world. Okay, linking industry to the markets. It says, I'll just read two. It says, Midwest relies on the big three rivers of the Midwest to get their products to the market. And we saw in, with the whole Ovid ordeal, all right, these, production was shut down. Things weren't moving. All right, now you add, the threat of toxic waters, okay, and pollutions in these different regions. Things definitely aren't going to be moving. Okay, but the Mississippi, Missouri, and Ohio rivers are key, all right, in things moving. Okay, and you can look up more on the whole breadbasket ordeal. But if you look at what's been happening, okay, these different key areas are being targeted. Okay, and we know this is the devil at work. Okay, and when you look at some things that are resulting from these disasters, let's get YouTube real quick. Let's go to Dabu. Give me 1 second here. There we go.
This is Dabu 7, an update to the situation out of East Palestine in Ohio. As right now, officials are saying that tens of thousands of animals out of the creek are dead. A lot of the fish, frogs, salamanders, all the aquatic life is showing to be dead in this area. The people that live downstream off of this branch specifically are saying that they're afraid to let their horses and their cows drink out of the creek or out of the waterway. We have individuals saying that their turkeys have been put on antibiotics due to respiratory problems connected to this whole thing. Chickens are laying eggs with what they are calling an unsettling purple hue. And people are afraid to even eat any food off of the trees or anything that they've got on their lawns, period, because they think that it's tainted. Now add to this white film that's being seen all over the place in many different states, coming down out of the sky, settling on vehicles, and even on some vehicles close to the epicenter here. Paint is peeling off of the vehicles, bubbling up and like chipping off. So a lot going on surrounding this situation, and constant updates here needed with this as it's still leaching into the earth. Now, they have set up booms along the waterway, and there are cleanup crews that have been down here working, but it's still finding its way into the water table and then into the Ohio River and then heading downstream, ultimately hitting the Gulf of Mexico. A lot of the wastewater that they pulled out of here, they are sending to Texas, we come to find out, so it can be disposed of down there by a company that does that. But wanted to let it be known, in terms of the wildlife, tens of thousands of animals dead in the surrounding rivers and lakes connected to this spot, and a lot of other issues with other problems as well. Join me on the live streams, Monday and Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, Dabu 777, where I break this down further, censorship free. You'll find links below. Much love. This is Dabu 7. We have some shocking new information here connected to the residents and workers near the site where the train carrying this vinyl chloride derailed in Ohio, East Palestine. These people being diagnosed with several different things, but chemical bronchitis at the top of the list, along with other conditions. And it's all connected to chemical exposure coming from this site. This is huge, absolutely huge. One lady, Melissa Blake here, who lives within a mile of the crash, started coughing up gray mucus, and this was 2 days after the train derailed. She evacuated from her home. She went to the emergency room. She was diagnosed with acute bronchitis due to chemical fumes, meaning those toxic, cancer-causing fumes got into her system, no doubt. The same fumes and chemicals that are killing tons of wildlife and obviously here at this point affecting all kinds of people. This lady has yet to go back to her house since this all went down. At Saram Fam, this is a company adjacent to the derailment. 5 of its 10 workers were too sick to work, according to their manager. He said that they suspended operations for about a week because of the derailment, and then they were told everything was fine. So they resumed work on February 13th. Right after that, 2 days is all it took again. They started dropping like flies. People ending up with rashes, nausea, vomiting, bloody noses, eye issues, a lot of coughing and wheezing. I mean, a ton of issues. They sent workers to the hospital to get checked out, and sure enough, in most cases, they were told the same thing, chemical bronchitis. They've been put on all kinds of different pills, medicines, including steroids. Some have even been given inhalers and breathing machines. So this is absolutely crazy what these people are going through after some tried to say, oh, we've cleaned up this and that. Well, let me tell you something, man. People are suffering big time up here, and this continues. A heads up, I'm going to continue to update on this.
All right, and one more thing on this page, as I brought out on one of my latest videos, which I know I'm all over the place, but There's just so much happening. Look what came of this whole disaster in Ohio as they've, created this chaotic environment and situation. Look what they've automatically introduced as a solution.
This is Dabu 7 with what I believe to be bombshell information that really is the icing on the cake when proving that someone knew that something was going to happen in East Palestine before it did. We now have proof. All these local farmers and residents coming forth and saying that they were approached by our government and its agencies a week before this derailment. And they were asked if they would wear these My ID emergency service surveillance bracelets or these biometric trackers, so to speak, tracking your heart rate, your breathing, all of that. So these people just show up of all places on the planet a week before this goes down, like, oh, you might want to wear this monitor. Well, why? Why would anyone want to? Most people say they ignored it because they didn't expect anything to happen. Well, this is a dead giveaway that someone knew something big time was going to go down. When you show up the week before handing these things out, man, this is as obvious as it gets. And let's look at all the other supposed coincidences, which I don't believe in coincidences. The CDC just came out and updated their guidelines right before this happened. They updated its profile on vinyl chloride specifically, removing a section on how the chemical affects children. Then we come to find out that there's a movie, White Noise, that was shot and filmed in this exact town on this exact situation. You can't make it up. You talk about being telegraphed. I'm telling you right now, call it what you want. To me, this is the icing and the cherry on top. This digital ID is everything. This is where they're taking all this stuff globally. But to show up before this event and hand these things out, come on. You've got to be ignorant not to see what's going on here. I'm going to leave links. I'm going to break this down further on the live stream, so make sure to join.
Columbiana County coverage now, and East Palestine is known as the place to be. It's way ahead of the curve on a program to provide better treatment for anyone in the event of an emergency. I learned how it works and how it could help everyone in East Palestine. My ID provides quick medical information for emergency responders. Darlene Chapman is the outreach coordinator for this project, and she's an EMT.
If they're in a situation where they can't tell us or they don't have any family around, this is something that would make my life easier.
My ID works by taking a camera phone and pointing it at a QR code. It provides valuable medical information such as allergies, breathing difficulties, or other conditions, so you get proper treatment and care.
If anybody sees the QR code, you'll be able to scan this and get the information. So it helps that person, not necessarily just here, but anywhere in the nation.
There are a few options for My ID: a bracelet, key fob, necklace, or attachment on your watch band. You can choose the one which fits your lifestyle best. That's up to you. Orders will start in January. The fire department has already collected $5,000 in donations to help. That's our...
When you read the comments, people are waking up. People are getting ready to lose it. What are the odds of an entire town of 47,000 is gifted medical monitoring devices right before a hazardous waste spill? So we know what's up. We know what's up. But the depths that they're going to bring forth this order is very, 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 very crazy. Okay? It's crazy. All right? So bringing all of that stuff out about what they're doing to these environments, all right, because it's going to leave people in a toxic, chaotic, environment. It's going to move people around, displace people, okay? And people are going to have to look to the devil himself, okay, for aid, for food, for shelter. This man is crazy. Joel 1:17. The seed is rotting under their clods. The garners are laid desolate. The barns are broken down, for the corn is withered. Okay? And these toxic spills and things like it's all leading to help these prophecies come to pass. How do the beasts groan? The herd of cattle are perplexed because they have no pasture. Okay? Like these these cows over in New Mexico. Okay? It says, yea, the flocks of sheep are made desolate. Okay? How the animals moan with hunger. Okay? The herds of cattle wander about confused because they have no pasture. The flocks of sheep and goats bleat in misery. O Yahweh, to thee will I cry, for the fire have devoured the pastures of the wilderness, and the flame have burned all the trees of the field. Okay, and see, the devil is going around burning down, all right, the Amazon ranch. So this devil, at the end of the day, as we get in the book of Revelation, the 11th chapter, you got chickens laying purple eggs. You got chickens not, producing eggs. We're living in a very chaotic, toxic environment, a toxic, wicked world, man. Okay, but the result, okay, is prophecy being fulfilled. And though you hate to watch it, it must happen. This is Revelation 11 and 18. And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and to them that fear thy name, both small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth, man. Okay? And who's destroying the earth, man? All we had to do is just look at a few articles, and it's clear as day that this devil is using the destruction of the earth to bring forth his NWO. Eventually, those my ID, okay, is going to be so much catastrophic events happening that you're going to be required to get a charagba, a chip, okay, from the chaotic environment that they've created. Order out of chaos, okay? And we're witnessing the meat being cut off because Revelation, the 6th chapter, we always bring it out. Revelation 6 and 5. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the beast come and say, and I beheld, lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. Okay, and when we look up this word balances, zygos, all right, a yoke that is put on a draught cattle, metaphorically used for any burden of bondage, slavery, troublesome laws imposed on one. Okay? And we always talk about the unrighteous decrees that are coming down the pipe and that are here already. Okay? And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny. Okay, as we see the wheat producing states, okay, be systematically targeted. Okay? That whole thing in Ukraine, that was used to say, well, we're not going to be buying or selling different products from this region of the earth. And it shut down things getting to where, and eventually these shelves are going to start being more and more empty. Things that you had access to, you won't have access to. And eventually, when it's all said and done, as we say, they're going to have a system in place to where your only means of buying, selling, eating is going to be through what they have set up. And the quality of the food is going to be what they deem food. Because we know with their NWO, real food is off the table. That got to go. That's destroying the earth. As if they themselves aren't destroying the earth. All right. And I heard one of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny. All right. And a measure of barley for a penny, and see that thou hurt not the earth nor the wine. Okay. So to get a certain amount of food or grains, okay, as we always go into this, a measure, okay, koinix or choinix, it says, we'll just get to the point right here. It says, or as much as would support a man of moderate appetite for a day. So you're going to be able to, they're going to set up a system eventually using as a form of bondage and slavery, the black horse, okay, to say, look, you can get this much amount of food, all right, for this much money. Okay, this is food rationing. Okay, denarius containing 10. All right, it would seem that the denarius was then the ordinary pay for a day's wages. So a day's wages will get you a certain amount of grains and foods to sustain yourself. But that's only for a man of moderate appetite. What if you got children? What if you got a wife? All right. So they're going to set up a system of enslavement via the system of buying and selling. Okay. And what will be deemed money in that day? Because the modern day denarius was the dollar, right? You see, which was devalued. The denarius was the money of the ancient Roman Empire. I mean, if we didn't show you that word penny, is denarion. Okay, the Roman silver coin. So what is the modern day money? Okay, the dollar. Well, we're living in a time where paper money, okay, and the money is being balked at and boasted and talking about going digital. So all of everything they're doing goes hand in hand with the agenda they want. Okay, and as we always go into, what it will eventually end up in, okay, is there's going to be so much situations taking place on earth that they're going to be able to do this. Okay, Revelation 13-16, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a charagma in their right hand and in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell save he that had the charagma, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Okay, so boom. Okay, with all of these things happening, okay, in very key parts of the earth, it could very well lead, okay, to them, okay, having full jurisdiction to issue forth that charagma. Okay, so you got toxic waste from Ohio now here in Texas. You know, where supposedly in Texas they have facilities that can fix the water. But you got, you know, a lot happening, man. Okay, a lot happening. National Weather Service, San Diego issues first ever blizzard warning. So something's wrong. You have a blizzard warning in San Diego? That's crazy weather patterns. Here in Texas, crazy weather patterns. Everywhere you look, just things are off. All right, but this is all synonymous with the day of the Lord, man. Okay? And boom, let's check this out. U.S. town hit by 4 train derailments in 10 months. And where is that at? Nebraska. Another one of those breadbasket. Another one of those breadbasket. There you go. Areas. Okay? See, Nebraska. And we showed you what a breadbasket state pretty much was. Responsible for, you know, grains, the best soil. Okay, and they use the rivers to produce, you know, their goods throughout these different regions. Okay, so all of these things happening are going to eventually affect, okay, you. This is why you have to lean on Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, man. So, see if I had any more. Another train derails in Nebraska. So, and you're going to see more of these unfit foods become normal foods. What's in U.S. foods that Europe deemed unfit for human consumption? Okay, but I don't want to get into that. But yeah, I just wanted to get into that. Let's get Revelation 12. And 12, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So this devil knows he has but a short time. So you're getting ready to see more and more false flags, more and more crazy, bizarre things happening. As the brother Baquar Moff said, you know, bizarre things are just happening, man, worldwide. Okay.
February the 24th, 2023. Guys, I know it's been a long day, and I was hoping to kind of chill out and get a couple other things done, like maybe the Revelation series continue it, but we're kind of living it right now. We're talking about the events in Revelation to where a third of the earth is devastated. But this morning we did a video about the Deer Park area down in the Houston area, and them shipping the wastewater from East Palestine, Ohio there, and how crazy that was, 1,300 miles, bad weather, snow and sleet. Idiots. But really, we're talking about demonic entities that want to destroy the planet. Now, this afternoon, and thank you for the comment in the last video, it says that Pemex, Deer Park, Texas, there was a small crude unit shut down after the fire sources. Was it a coincidence? Just happened to be in the same area where they're dumping all these chemicals. And you saw in the last video how deadly the dioxins are. It says this small crude distillation unit called the CDU at Pemex's PMXUL, it has 312,500 barrel per day capacity. It's in Deer Park, Texas. It was shut down following a Thursday night fire last night. This was coming from people familiar with the plant operations on Friday. A fire broke out at the 70,000 barrel per day CDU-1 on Thursday night. The sources said that 2,700 BPD or barrels per day unit remains in operation. A Pemex spokesman did not reply to a request for comment about operations at the Deer Park refinery. A couple of things are going on. Guys, in Revelation, we know there's a lot of catastrophes that are going to happen about the water and everything else on this planet, a third of it. Well, when you see something like this, again, you immediately think coincidence. They're putting their wastewater there. There's a fire there at Pemex, not exactly the same unit, same industrial park. And then they don't want to reply about it. You say, well, is it just because they don't have the information, don't want to put it out, or is there something more sinister under that? And again, this is not a coincidence. And are we dealing with cartels in Mexico and the ones that are coming over into Texas? You know, the border's wide open there. Greg Abbott, where are you? But let's read a little more and you'll see this is not a coincidence. Saying the Deer Park fire was one of 3 to strike Pemex facilities in Mexico and the U.S. on Thursday. Coincidence, guys, you know better. We're in the book of Revelations, and I want to get back into it. It's been such a hectic couple of days, and today there's been 3 or 4 or 5 videos we had to deal with because it's so important. The same as in the trumps in Revelation 7 trumpets. Back to back, they come very quickly, just like in a military battle. When they use trumpets for retreat or attack or whatever, left flank, right flank, whatever it was, they could come very quickly, and I think that's what we're seeing now. To be honest with you, said 5 people were unaccounted for in a blaze in a storage facility in the Mexican state of Veracruz that also sent 3 people to the hospital. On a separate fire at its Minatlan refinery, also in Veracruz, injured 5 people.
So you got all of these fires. Now, what does it say in the book of 2nd Esdras, the 5th chapter? The fires will oft be sent out. And again, this is all happening in systematic key areas, man. Okay, the devil is, he ain't going to stop until the Heavenly Father stops him. But if you can't see that the man of sin is at work, then I don't know what's wrong with you.
Says these units break down crude oil into feedstocks for all other units at the refinery. What is going on? We know we got problems across the border. Is that spilled over into Texas? Or is it all deep state? Again, guys, we're living in the end times. I'm trying to get the energy up now to get into the book of Revelation tonight. I'm going to have to relax a minute. And
these people can't break down the book of Revelation. All right, the Heavenly Father set up us to break down the book of Revelation. All right, but right now, I guess it's 2 drunks. They're going to re-break down all of the book of Revelation. But anyway.
February the 22nd, 2023. Guys, you're looking at information coming out now. It's been not quite 2 hours. It's fire breaks out at a uranium processing facility in Tennessee. It says the emergency response at the Y-12 National Security Complex. This is Oak Ridge, guys. Many of you have heard about this before. They're saying uranium is involved. They're saying it has been contained. But remember what's happening in Ohio and how everything's under control when it's not. So we have to be careful. Possibly they have it under control. Let's read a little more about it and keep a very close eye on this thing, guys, because, you know, uranium and some forms of it have a half-life of 13 million years. So in the radioisotopes. Let's read a little more about this. This is coming out of WVLT Gray News, Oak Ridge, Tennessee. It says a fire broke out at Y-12 National Security Complex on Wednesday. Catherine King with Y-12 told WVLT. The facility hasn't released much information, but King was able to confirm that fire broke out Wednesday morning in Building 9212. In an updated release, Y-12 said the fire started around 9:14 a.m. in a chemical handling hood. WVLT News was on scene and spoke to officials who were able to provide some information on the incident. Those officials were quick to assure the public that the incident was contained to the Y-12.
Another uranium plant. Like, why are all of these fires happening?
Good morning, preppers. I was enjoying my morning tea when this news article flashed across my desk. A white powder substance is falling from the sky in West Virginia and Maryland. Local fire departments have recommended individuals refrain from going outside, shut their doors and windows until further notice. Some reports say a white powder substance was dropped from a small airplane. Others have speculated it actually came from a dust storm. You can see it on this Jeep, and the EPA is actually looking for more information. This is scary stuff, and I completely agree. Until we know what this is, it's best to stay indoors. And that's why I always say it's important, too, to always have N95 mask on stock, just to be able to keep you and your family safe. But as we learn more, especially if we actually see it's more detrimental, we'll definitely put more videos about this.
So the climate situation has begun where they are releasing, and I've got each city, every state, and where it's already begun at. So America, yes, but also it's already apparently going down in other places like Oxford, where they're already having to remove certain things out of the streets because that's where it's going. First, I want you to hear this, and then I'm going to take you into where it's all going because they've even had the military involved with certain operations that's going on. Thanks for tuning in.
After Oxfordshire County Council approved plans to lock residents into one of 6 zones to save the planet from global warming, protests against the decision are being organised to take place in February. The council will introduce green light traffic filters in the city. They will ban private vehicles from 6 areas at certain times.
They're going to lock down certain zones and do all this stuff because this is the new plan, which it all moves further. And basically, it's under the national emergency plan. But you could say things have become even a little different than just that plan. And we're going to talk about what's being drafted today, or basically in these last coming days, not today. And it's going to change a lot about the environment around us. It's of people pushing back against the 15-minute cities is what is being called. So what we want to go into here is what they're saying in detail about this. But traffic calming measures in Oxford, England have become an unlikely flashpoint in the last few weeks. And so basically protesters claim that will lead to a climate lockdown. They're telling us, hey, don't worry, you'll just be in the houses for a little bit after the, you know what happened, a little pandemic thing. And then next.
And there's going to be climate lockdowns here in Babylon. With all of this stuff happening, you best believe they're going to tell you to stay in the house. They're going to tell you to only use bottled water. They're going to say we'll bring particular water to particular neighborhoods. Stay in the house, wear your mask. Okay? And this is all prophecy, man.
You know, it turned to a long-term scenario because these are emergency powers that they're enacting, and they're the ones polluting the environment. And we've been telling you how to basically keep your health good during these moments. So here's what they're saying here. We're going to show you what's happening right now where people are fighting back against this. They're having to remove barricades because they're barricading them in. What is a 15-minute city eco concept that has been jumped on by so-called conspiracy theorists? As usual, they always got to use that word. But traffic calming measures should be a normal thing, they said. So moving past that, this is what people in Oxford are doing right here. Video footage coming out of people basically removing barricades because they've created these zones where they're not allowing cars to drive through. They've banned them. They banned them from driving around. And so people have to like literally go themselves and start removing these. Look, you see these things on the ground right here that he's now pouring something on, it looks like. And so here's another video clip where they've created barricades. You can't even drive through, you know, unless you go and take them down. And so right now it's not being enforced. It's not being enforced by a military presence. But, however, something points to that it's probably going to lead to that. Here's some people even driving them right over.
Of course. Of course. It will be the second address, the 15th. Okay, a man so desire to go into another part of the city and it ain't going to be able to. 15-minute cities for the greater good of the earth.
So again, we're gonna basically show you more footage of that here in a few. They've already started to arrest some people over this whole process, and then there's like lots more protests apparently going on about this. And so the 15-minute cities, I'm going to tell you, America basically they have a detailed map. I found the detailed map that is coming. It's coming our way too. Remember what Prince Charles said? We need a military-style Marshall Plan to combat climate change. That's what Prince Charles said. The New World Order, puppet family of the Matrix system. So another strange thing is why did he say that? And then literally this came out just a few days ago. UK military spied on lockdown critics in media. Goes into the report, tells you even deeper here. It says the UK ministry closely monitors social media accounts, public figures critical of the lockdown during the pandemic. The claim counters repeated official denials of government carried out by any such surveillance. The military's Secret of 77 Brigade compiled a dossier on anyone with a sizable following who questioned lockdowns, mandates, and predictions of doom that characterized the lockdown. So again, why they do that? Because it seems like a higher enforcement is basically going to arrive, and you think they're not doing it in America just because everything is quiet. How is the 15-minute cities going to look in America? London, Oxford, already fighting back. Like I said, here they are pushing out the barricades, not allowing it to sit there, because that's probably the only way forward here when it comes to them locking you down. This is just another.
Again. Therefore, rejoice ye heavens, Revelation 12 and 12, and ye that dwell in them, the elect. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. So when we see all of these things going down, we're rejoicing, man. For the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth he hath but a short time. Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter. And the 3rd verse, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come to pass. It will not tarry. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. So we're seeing how evil spirited and wicked these people are, okay, which is going to require more faith, okay?
Step to the national emergency plan. So America, here you are, shaping 15-minute city vision for Detroit and Cleveland, using data assisted with modeling how master plans in 2 cities hope to transform their historically underutilized waterfronts. And this just came out February 19, 2023. They're going to transform basically the landscape with this agenda. And I'm going to show you the top areas where they say they're going to use this. Now, the NBA is part of the association with saying, yeah, we need a clean city. Now, don't get me wrong. We need clean environments, but we don't need lockdown from government telling you that you can't do this when they fly private jets out everywhere, when they derail not planes, but trains, and have the toxic fumes all in the atmosphere. And at large, they don't create recycling centers for it to be like something that's an initiative for people to do in like America. But let's go into this. America's top 25 potential 15-minute cities of the United States' largest metro populations. Yep, because if you're in the large cities, you're going to be a slave because they love to lock you down in those large cities And I'm not saying that if you're in a rural area, that's not going to eventually come to you. Sure, they're going to probably have robots and drones eventually. But check this out right here. Here's the map of where they say the 15-minute cities is going to be. This is what they released. And you can see San Francisco it says 1,549 is basically telling you the population, is telling you a lot of different information. But that's the zones they want these 15-minute cities in. And so it goes from 15 minutes, though. Here's more data on it. It goes from 15 minutes, though, even further than that. So like I just said here, this is basically would have been under a climate emergency. This would have been basically a national emergency for climate. Yep, and then they can usher in the troops. They can do whatever they pretty much wanted because they're saying like, hey, we're cleaning up the environment. We're the good people. We're coming to save you. And yet they're telling you to stay inside. You got to go from 15 minutes and then probably go further than that. But it don't have to be a national emergency now because we have something else going on just in these last couple of days where things are being negotiated that could change a lot of things, even though they say.
See that treaty draft, all right, which I just did a news and prophecy on that I didn't post on YouTube, but there's talks of giving full power to who that, okay, for the next pandemic. Okay, and again, that means the lawgivers and the government will become scientists and people who are into, and they can dictate what people will have to do in order to get through it. Okay, what will be deemed safe.
We'll be respecting sovereignty in this document. Don't worry. Everything will be respected, as they always tell us. But here's what they say. The best chance we have as a global community to prevent a repeat of the past is to come together in the spirit of the New World Order. My bad, it says solidarity, in a commitment to equality and the pursuit of health for all. The development of
peace and safety, right? It's all centered around peace and safety via, all right, catastrophic events. They created a crazy toxic environment they're creating, and it's only going to get worse. All right. And synonymously, you're going to start to see them point the finger at domestic terrorists, online extremists, all of this. But wait a minute.
the global accord safeguards societies from future threats. Pandemic. There are several of these factors were discussed during the meeting, with most members agreeing that the government's arrangement with the WHO directing coordinating authority in global health and a leader of multi.
All right. When you start talking about them, it gets crazy. But check this video out. This dude, he has there's another one he did. Give me 1 second. Look at a little bit of that and close it.
These videos are highly freaking important here. I'm not only going to give you what else is coming, but what else is basically transpiring as we speak. This will be critical because what's happening is really confirmed now on multiple levels. But, however, they're not going to be telling you stuff like this. So we're going to go straight into this video clip of this lady talking about the not coming scenario, the scenario that's already here.
I don't ask for help, but I'm going to ask for help. And I'm going to ask for TikTok to do its thing. With regards to the train derailment in Ohio. Anyone in North America right now, stay out of the rain. There's reports coming in from Nebraska that it's eating shit that people skin in the rain. Stay out of the rain.
So flesh eating rain, and how could we show you even further video clips of what is happening in the atmosphere? We're going to do that. Secondly, vinyl chloride in the atmosphere breaks down into hydrochloric acid, a component of acid rain. So no, it's not even at this point something that you can be like, well, it's just another theory. No, look at the next video here, where in Ontario, Canada, the cars, it looks to seem like that is basically so easy to break the chips and pieces off of it. We're going to play this video clip. So that's what's happening next to the cars. If you missed it, you just tuned in. You want to go back to the clip in the beginning where the lady is saying flesh-eating rain is raining down in Nebraska. Where is Nebraska? This is where Nebraska that you would say, well, dang, it's going all the way over there. Well, we got even other situations going on. And also, I was in the military, goes out and says, I was trained for these specific type of chemicals that is being put in the atmosphere, and it wasn't a controlled burn because there's an expert who came out actually on this video, and we're going to tell you that these chemicals was used in World War I. So again, we're about to get into all this here. Staying out of the rain is important. Here's the forecast for what's coming up, like literally in Nebraska pretty much. But you got to see this next video, and then we found some evidence of other things happening in different places where they're saying, oh, just don't worry. It's just like dust. It's probably coming from the Sahara and all this stuff. So again, they're not really getting into what the real fine line was happening there. So the chemicals in the atmosphere, again, was used in World War I. We'll play this clip really quick.
Since Instagram deleted my last reel for some reason, I don't know why, we'll try this again. Story time. If you don't know, from my other previous reel, I was a medic in the Navy. They sent me to an NBC casualty care provider course in Aberdeen, Maryland, where they spent a bunch of time teaching me how to treat chemical casualties in a nuclear, biological, and chemical attack environment. One of the first things they taught us about was phosgene. Phosgene, if you don't know, is a byproduct of burning vinyl chloride. So that train derailment in Ohio that released all the vinyl chloride around it, and then they decided to light it on fire, yeah, congratulations. All they ended up doing was creating a shit ton of phosgene. Germans used this stuff in World War I to kill everything. It's invisible. It smells like fresh cut grass when it gets to a certain point in the air.
Okay, so it breaks down into phosgene, and if it was a controlled burn, it wouldn't have broken down into that. We also have a guy who's basically chemical engineering, on the video clip, and then he's had like lots of degrees and a lot of different things saying that it wasn't a controlled burn, and that's why you've seen the toxic clouds come up, because if it was controlled, it wouldn't have had all the toxicity go and expand on us. So, and again, I was showing you the video clips again in different spots and areas like New York, Cincinnati having videos coming out where people are starting to see stuff on the cars. Now it's even more videos coming out where people are seeing stuff on the cars, which we're about to show you. So this was the one in Cincinnati, in areas of New York. Guess where else they're starting to see it though? It's not just in those areas. And we're going to talk about phosgene here in a second and what we can potentially do to beat that. Maybe like at a higher rate if we can get people to get on it now, because if this stuff goes into your body, it's definitely a different situation that it causes. Conceptual approaches for treatment of phosgene inhalation lung injury. So we'll get into that, but first we need you to see other video clips of other things coming out here. Mysterious yellow dust covers neighborhood, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And so if you're in Nebraska, we're going to ask the question, what has the rain been like? We're not saying you should be standing in the rain, but this is in Iowa. And over in Iowa, they're trying to say, well, nah, this is what they say right here. The dust came up, probably from the plains with rain events, came up over the past days that evaporated and landed on people's cars. Professor of chemistry says. So that's what they're saying here, but nobody wants to talk about if stuff can come from the Sahara, why can't stuff come from Ohio? So, it's just that double standard here where things can come from all the way over there, but things can't come from here. See how that's placed on us? But let's listen to this chemical engineer first, and then we're going to get into the yellow dust on the vehicles. But the chemical engineer need to be heard because of the so-called burn that wasn't controlled, and we'll get into what we need to do about this phosgene situation. So let's go ahead and give you audio on what this guy was saying here. We'll go ahead and play it.
The guy made all the decisions. You've got a control burn? Well, there's the lie. It wasn't a control burn. It was an uncontrolled burn. See, I'm a chemical engineer as well. So a top health and safety guy. I've got undergraduate and graduate degrees in chemical engineering.
You're the first actual expert that we've gotten to speak to. In your opinion, why do you believe that it was an uncontrolled burn? Why are you using that terminology when so far everywhere else we've seen that it was a controlled burn?
You can go to a place called West Liverpool downriver, and that's where they burn hazardous waste. And in a hazardous waste situation, they very carefully control the temperature and the amount of oxygen so that they get complete combustion, right? It's time, temperature, and amount of the air fuel ratio. There's no controlling of the amount of air that gets in it. That's why you saw that soot. So it's not a controlled burn, because a controlled burn would have to be like in a furnace or in your car or some system where you control the fuel, in other words, the vinyl chloride and the amount of oxygen. So they didn't do that. So it's an uncontrolled burn. One of the worst ways to determine exposure in general is to smell it, because if you smell the odor, guess what? You're already exposed, right? How long have you been doing this?
So there it was. You heard a lot of information there telling you that they could have controlled this a lot better, but they didn't. And so you got to think about the sulfur particles in the atmosphere also mixing up with the vinyl chloride. Flesh-eating rain now, if you're just tuning in, we just had a lady come out and say that in the beginning of the video, just to remind people, flesh-eating rain is obviously acid rain hitting you. And then it's turned to phosgene, which was used in World War I as chemical warfare. Here is some of the newspapers about that. It says, devilry. Thy name is Germany. Soldiers trapped by a gas cloud lie unconscious in the trenches. So the thing is that maybe they didn't disperse it as much as the Germans did, but the fact that it's dispersed and it's turned to phosgene, it creates a whole other scenario.
All right, so let's get one more and cut it off. Habakkuk chapter 2 and 16. I started in the NLT. It says, but soon it will be your turn to be disgraced. Come drink and be exposed. Drink from the cup of the Lord's judgment, and all your glory will be turned into shame. And that's what's happening. People are waking up to you devils, man. Okay? You cut down the forest of Lebanon, you will be cut down. You destroy the wild animals, so now their terror will be yours. You committed murder throughout the countryside and filled the towns with violence. All right? And this is speaking of you Edomites, man, who are moving and operating in a wicked, satanic spirit, because you know that you have but a short time. So hopefully I edified on to the next. Shalom.